The Vegas Golden Knights came in first in the Pacific a year ago, 110 points, defeated Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs in 6 games before falling to the Oilers in 5 in round two. They have made the postseason in 7 out of their first 8 seasons, and right behind the storylines in Edmonton with McDavid, the single biggest move of this offseason has been the addition for Vegas of Mitch Marner in a trade with Toronto, exchanged for center Nick Waugh. Marner signed an 8-year, $12 million AV, full no movement clause. So Vegas has had a reputation since they came into the NHL the very first year when they made the finals of going for it. And this is simply another example of it.
They always seem to find a way to get the big fish into the boat. I don't know. It's really amazing that they keep doing this. Having said that, they're not world beaters. They're not the Florida Panthers. If we call the Florida Panthers the best team in the league, they're not yet the Florida Panthers. I like their first line. Their second line I like, but then it starts to drop off after that. And you can't be paying 12 million and 10 million and 8 million to people and think that you've got enough money left to be really strong in the third and fourth line.
They are currently $7.6 million over the salary cap as of now. So something's going to have to be done. And interestingly, they are rated among the lowest teams in the NHL in terms of their prospect pool. And do you think that is a large contributor to the fact that they're always going for it with active players and not building that pool? They're just trying to get free agents and make trades. And it's a very different way of building than a lot of other clubs in the league.
And at some point, they're going to pay the piper. They can't keep going like this because at some point, Mark Stone, Tomas Hertl, certainly Brandon Saad, William Karlsson, Riley Smith, these guys are going to expire. Their careers in the NHL are going to expire. And they are going to, if they don't have the prospects to fill in and they don't have anybody to trade, they're going to go down. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this coming year. And for this coming year, certainly they're going to have some real good power.
Let's just talk about the other moves during the course of this offseason to date. In addition to Marner, Jeremy Lauzon and Colton Sissons come in a trade with Nashville in exchange for defenseman Nick Hague, and Jacob Magna signed as a UFA from Florida. Among the players that they lost, in addition to the ones that we've already mentioned, Tanner Pearson signs as a UFA with Winnipeg, and Victor Olofsson signs as a UFA with the Colorado Avalanche. And one other note that I think this is a good defense. We'll talk about the forwards in a second. This is an upper third defense in the NHL, but they are going to be without Alex Pietrangelo for at least the 2025-26 season, and perhaps a career-ending hip injury requiring bilateral femur reconstructive surgery. So this would be a really big loss for Vegas, but I think this is one of the few teams that might be able to overcome that.
Yeah, they did get Lauzon, who's a usable piece on defense, and their top four are pretty good with Theodore, McNabb, Hanifin, and Whitecloud. They play a pretty good system of defense, and Bruce Cassidy has them pretty structured, so they should be okay, but that is a big loss. Pietrangelo is a big loss to them, and as you said, he'll be gone for the whole season. They're going to have to find a way to make up for that.
And rookie Kaden Korczak will round out the top six. But let's look at their forward group, because I think we differ a little bit on opinion here. You question their depth. I think that they can roll four.
Yeah, maybe they can. Riley Smith basically signed with the Rangers a year ago, and the Rangers basically gave him back. Brandon Saad was thrown away by St. Louis and signed in Vegas. He's a third liner. William Karlsson is slated to be the center on that line. Fourth line, Howden, Sissons, and Kolesar. Yeah, can roll four and be okay. I'm not saying that they're not going to be okay. They have better depth than Edmonton. Wouldn't you agree?
I certainly do. And I think these top two lines, Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner, and Pavel Dorofeyev, and then Hertl, Mark Stone, and Ivan Barbashev are a high-quality group. This is in the top third of the league in terms of top six forwards.
It is. Edmonton has elite top five, I think, in McDavid and in Draisaitl and in Nugent-Hopkins. But this is a deeper team is up front. And on defense, they may not have the stars, the Bouchard with the 200-mile-an-hour slap shot. They may not have that, but they do have a very serviceable group of defensemen, especially the top four.
Just interesting last year, though, that given all that firepower, and they had an offense that was fifth in the NHL during the regular season, 3.34 goals per game. But in the playoffs, they dropped off considerably to 2.55 goals per game. They only scored 10 goals in the second round series against Edmonton. They were shut out in games 4 and 5. Mark Stone missed that final game with an upper body injury. And there's even some question about whether or not Jack Eichel was healthy, because he certainly wasn't shooting the puck as much as we're used to. So particularly with Stone, who seems to have a nagging injury or two or three every single year, and Eichel is going to be a UFA at the end of this coming season. So I think this window is relatively narrow for this club.
It is. They're going to have to try to get something done here this year, and maybe they can. Let's talk about their unknowns. Is Keegan Colasar going to improve over? Is he going to keep improving? Is how good can Dorofeyev be? Can he even go get more goals? We all know he's a sniper. So that's probably their unknowns in goal. If you talk about that for a minute, they have Schmid coming in now and Aidan Hill. Aidan Hill, obviously the starting goaltender for them, the number one guy. He'll be backed up by Akira Schmid. Right now, they look like they're, and we'll get through the rest of this division, but they look like they are going to be fighting for first place all year in the Pacific Division.
And I think the one thing we can say about Aidan Hill, as compared to maybe Stu Skinner in Edmonton, he's won the Stanley Cup. Maybe not spectacular, but he got it done. And I've advocated for Skinner, but you can't argue with the championships here.
True. And you can't hang it all on Stu Skinner, but certainly when they played the last 2 years against the Panthers in the final, Bobrovsky was better than the Edmonton goaltending. And he's an elite goalie, Bobrovsky, no doubt about it. But they didn't lose only because of goaltending.